What's shaking, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Pet Shop Boys as we continue through Nightlife 1999. Thank you as always to Seb. And we are moving into the last few songs on the album, though we're only, I think, 45% or so through the expanded folder. So once again, big shout out to Seb not only for the material, but for providing B-sides and non-album tunes and so on. So we've got a lot of that to go. In any case, the tune we're up to now is In Denial. So this is, of course, a psychological concept, the idea of simply not being able to accept some state of affairs, some reality, because doing so would be too traumatic or upsetting, or you are still incredulous as to the, as you may perceive it, impossibility or unlikely probability of what has transpired or what is now the case. So yes, people can be in denial about a lot of things, about their own shortcomings or destructive behavior. They can be in denial about something being over, be it a person's life or a relationship. They can be in denial about the reasons for something. So obviously there's a lot going on just with the phrase itself, but there's no additional context, so I will try to follow along and see what this denial is about and who is evincing it. This is Pet Shop Boys, the song is In Denial, and it's from their 1999 album, Nightlife.
I'm not denying that every little bit hurts. It's a problem that I'm not solving. Don't mind admitting I feel like quitting this job for a while, getting away before it gets any worse today. Drugs and drinking, no cigarettes, and you feel a little less alive. Is that enough? My life is absurd. I'm leaving it upside down, like a vampire working at night, sleeping all day. A dad with a girl who knows he's gay.
what a tune. There's a real, like, theatricality to that. It feels like if you mixed a kind of down-tempo trip-hop slash electronica tune with a tune from a musical or something. Now, maybe a big part of that is it's a dialogue. It's Neil and a female vocalist, which on this first listen, I didn't recognize the voice. Maybe it'll be someone I should know, so if that's the case, let me apologize in advance. But yes, because it's like there's two characters talking, and who knows, maybe this is something autobiographical, but in the context of the song, it sounds like two characters going back and forth, and the Neil's character feels like at least some of what he's saying is psychologically reflective. The idea, like, I don't want to do this job anymore, which I felt like, is that like a reference to maybe suicide or something, that, he's just got so much that's difficult and he, just can't process, even though he's saying, like, I'm not in denial, which, of course, that is often a, like, kind of famously or stereotypically a reflex where you like, no, I'm not in denial. Like, you're keen to head off that line of analysis, because the more you hear that, the more you may become aware that it's exactly the defensive mechanism that you're articulating. But yeah, it sounds like he's, at least at the beginning, like he was saying, like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like, before it gets worse, I just want to get away from this all. Which, again, maybe it is about, like, being in a scene or being involved with people, like dating different guys and so on. And he's saying, like, I just can't do this. And then I think there is something about sexual identity as it relates to, like, being publicly known or something, or at least as to, like, the type of guys he's talking about dating. But then I don't know what the female voice is maybe trying to get him to acknowledge, but it does seem like she's speaking to him and his perceptions and so on. And there was a line in there that, like, something about, like, rough trade boyfriends or so on. Now, rough trade, I think, in the world of, like, sex workers and so on, is, like, people who can be, violent, or people who can be, like, dangerous in that way, like, overly physical. And so I wondered if it was that. But I think, isn't rough trade also, like a record label, or a scene, like a record, like, company, something like that? So maybe I'm not remembering that right. I think there was like a Depeche Mode documentary where, I don't know if it was Daniel Miller, someone was talking about them. Maybe it was Martin Gore. But yeah, maybe I'm just misremembering. But either way, like, it felt like that might be a more specific reference that I'm not quite familiar with. But yeah, as I said, the backing, like, vocals and the strings, it did have a bit of this, like, uplifting sound to it, but also, as I said, very, like, theatrical, cinematic. So yeah, I don't quite, it feels like a snapshot in time. It feels like there's, like, this moment of, what's going to happen, what is the next step for this character. Will he admit that he's in denial? Will he actually be proved right that he's not in denial, and maybe people are, like, for lack of a better word, like, gaslighting him? I'm not sure. So yeah, one I'd have to listen to again, but definitely there's a story being told here, even if it is about, like, a specific moment, and there's an implied backstory that we don't get specifically, and then, a next act in the play, in the story, that is up in the air. But definitely one that is very compelling. And again, another tune that's a bit different from, it's not like, sort of danceable synth pop in that 80s style. It's not like trance or underground electronic in the way that some of the Chris tunes are in the, like, 90s way. So yeah, like, they've had a lot of sonic variety, fair to say, but this album maybe has had some tracks that feel like more non-typical PSP, even if maybe this one is less so than the previous one. But yes, ultimately, I very much enjoy it. Luca, who's clearly dreaming right now, she enjoys it too. Thank you again to Seb, and to all those who comment on these reactions week to week. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.